Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with airborne troops carrying out the Second World War, shooting at random people. Helen, together with her 4 children, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, leave their home. In the morning, the mother escorts the 4 of them to the train station to travel to another city. They'll be staying at Professor Kirk's place, until their city is safe. The mother entrusts Peter with her other 3 children. Later, they arrive at their destination, and Mr. Kirk's assistant drives them home. They start playing hide and seek on their first day. Lucy is looking for a hiding place, and discovers a wardrobe. She believes this is a safe place to hide, but notices another way in the closet. So she keeps walking in there, but soon she gets taken aback, because what she finds is a place called Narnia, hidden beyond the wardrobe. Lucy takes a look around the street, and meets a man who is half a horse and half a man. They are both scared of each other. Lucy expresses an interest in getting to know him. He reveals his name is Tumnus. After that, he brings her to his place, where he gives her a sip of tea, and plays music for her. Lucy then dozes off, and wakes up some time later, and Tumnus confesses he feels upset, because the others are afraid of him. She tells him he is the best buddy she has ever met, and hands him her handkerchief, which is wailing. He goes on talking about the White Witch, who has cursed Narnia to be a frozen nation for the next 100 years, and all humans are to be brought to her. But he walks her back to her house. Lucy suddenly emerges back from the old wardrobe. Then Peter chastises Lucy for failing to locate her. She has been in Narnia for a long time, but it turns out that in the real world, they have just started playing. She tries to tell her 3 siblings that she was in another world, behind the closet for hours. But they don't believe her, and assume that it's only her imagination. Later at night, Lucy can't fall asleep, since she hears music. She decides to return to the wardrobe. At the same moment, Edmund follows her stealthily into the closet, where he collapses into the snow. He attempts to locate Lucy, and a deer suddenly passes by him. A woman introduces herself as the Snow Queen of Narnia. She inquires as to how Edmund came to be in Narnia's world. He explains he had arrived here by chance, and was only looking for his sister. The Snow Queen asks him how many brothers and sisters he has, and tells him that he could become the king of Narnia. But first he must bring his siblings here, and she will show him the location of the kingdom. The White Witch, who professes ignorance, is unaware of the existence of a half-horseman human. Edmund succumbs to the White Witch's seduction, offering him the throne, and she departs. Meanwhile, Lucy greets Edmund and returns home. Later, she wakes up Peter, and reveals that she ran into Tumnus again. Nevertheless, no one pays attention to her. Edmund lies out of spite, and she starts to cry. Lucy runs away and meets Mr. Kirk unexpectedly. When he sees this, he requests that his helper make Lucy hot chocolate. He then talks with Susan and Peter in his room, who tell him about their sister's current situation in the wardrobe. Mr. Kirk listens to Lucy's narrative and believes her. Later, they play cricket in the yard. Peter hits the tossed ball, which breaks a window glass. They are terrified of being chastised by Mr. Kirk's assistant, and run inside the house, looking for a spot to hide, until they came upon an empty room. They decide to find a hiding place in the wardrobe. This way they reach the land of Narnia. Peter finally believes Lucy's story, and forces Edmund to apologize to her. She brings her siblings to her friend's house. However, when they enter Tumnus' house, Lucy notices that everything is in a state of disarray. She discovers a note in there stating, Tumnus was found guilty of treason against the Snow Queen. This is because he made friends with adversaries, in order to betray the queen. Outside, they are taken aback by the talking beaver. Lucy catches sight of the beaver through her handkerchief, and he claims Tumnus had given him this handkerchief, before he was abducted by the White Witch. The beaver then takes all 4 of them to his home. Although some of them had earlier refused to follow the beaver, they finally arrive at the beaver's home, who are discussing their hero, Narnia's Aslan. The beaver states he has been absent for a long time, and he has heard Aslan would be returning shortly to regain control. The beaver tells them a prophecy predicted that humans, 2 men and 2 women would come to Aslan's aid on the throne, and bring peace again. Outside, they are looking at 2 hills, one of which contains the White Witch's domain. Peter is beginning to question the prudence of inviting his younger siblings to the palace of the White Witch. While they are discussing, Edmund flees to the palace of the White Witch. When they notice this, they start to follow him. Edmund arrives at the palace, and gets scared when he spots many people and animals, cursed to become ice sculptures. Shortly after, he is suddenly assaulted by wolves. They take him to meet the queen, who feels infuriated when she discovers he arrived here alone. So she directs her wolves to transport Edmund to the prison. and also orders her wolves to go after the three siblings. The beaver's house then gets assaulted by the wolves. Fortunately, the kids discovered and followed a peculiar beaver path. The three siblings find Beaver's dwelling, exiting the mystery way. They also find out that the beavers had been cursed to become ice statues. Meanwhile, they meet a fox who tells them about his companion, Beaver, who turned into an ice statue. However, when the fox realizes they are in danger again, he tells them to shelter among the trees. On the way, the fox also helps the kids flee the wolves. Next, we discover Edmund is imprisoned in a room with Tumnus. In contrast, Peter, Susan and Lucy, who had camped on the bank of the river near the palace, are looking for a way to find Edmund. At that time, the White Witch carries Edmund with her, to lure the other children. The kids are strolling down the road, and spot a group of deers pursuing, and start running. After a while of hiding, one beaver goes to venture outside, and informs them that a human is waiting for them, more specifically Santa Claus. Santa now presents gifts one by one. The first one is for Lucy, a spark juice that can cure any ailment, as well as a little weapon for self-defense. Next, Susan is given a bow and arrow as a gift. Peter receives a wonderful shield and sword, for the coming conflict, which they predict would be difficult for him. After that, Santa Claus wishes them good luck and leaves. The children continue on their way, and run into a snag on the route, since the ice in the river is starting to melt, making it impossible for them to go. While looking for a solution, the wolves spot and start to pursue them. Peter has no alternative but to use his sword, to smash the ice into pieces, in order to escape the wolves. Luckily, the three are able to escape with their friend the beaver. In the meantime, the White Witch gazes at the waterfall, which is now running rapidly. Unfortunately, the White Witch finds the fox who helped the kids, and transforms it into an ice statue. Later, the three arrive at Aslan's place. They arrive at a massive military camp, full of creatures of many types preparing for war. The locals are surprised to see the three people arrive there. Finally, the giant lion named Aslan appears from a tent, and greets Peter, Susan and Lucy. He inquires about Edmund's whereabouts, and Peter informs him that he has been kidnapped by the White Witch. Aslan informs him about Cair Paravel, the prophesied castle, where he and his siblings will rule as kings. Lucy and Susan are playing near Aslan's campsite by the river. Suddenly, two wolves appear and attack them. Susan manages to summon assistance, using her horn. In the meantime, Peter is talking with Aslan up the hill, and he hears his sister call for help. He heads right to the source of the noise. When Peter appears with his sword, the wolf challenges to a fight. Aslan appears right when Peter manages to defeat the wolf. As a result, Aslan names him Sir Peter Wolfsbane, Knight of Narnia. At night, Aslan's captain and his warriors track the last wolf back to the witch's camp, and rescue Edmund. The White Witch comes to Aslan's camp, and demands to talk. She claims that according to the magical laws that govern Narnia, Edmund needs to be sacrificed at the stone table, since he is a traitor. If they refuse to hand over Edmund, Narnia will be destroyed. Aslan meets with the White Witch privately, who walks away without saying anything. According to Aslan, the witch has surrendered her claim to Edmund's blood. However, except for the lion, everyone cheers. Susan and Lucy see Aslan leave the tent at night, and decide to follow him to the stone table, where the White Witch awaits with her army. It turns out Aslan is willing to give his life to save Edmund's. The White Witch claims she will kill the children and take over Narnia. Later, Susan and Lucy go to Aslan's body. Lucy tries to resurrect him with her fire flower juice, but it's too late. They use the forest trees to relay information about what happened, and return to the camp. After the death of the lion, Aslan's army is now under Peter's command. However, everyone is still in mourning. Susan and Lucy decide to join the others for combat. Suddenly, they hear a loud crack as they descend from the stone table, and Aslan appears. It turns out that if a willing victim who has committed no treachery is killed, instead of a traitor, death will turn backwards, something the witch didn't know. The sisters then scale the lion, in order to rejoin the others. Overrun by the witch's army's overwhelming size, Peter orders his army to retire into a ravine. Aslan transports Susan and Lucy to the witch's castle, which has been abandoned. Their goal is to save all the people and animals trapped in stone statues, cursed by the White Witch, including Tumnus. After that, Aslan gives them all new life, so they can rejoin Peter and his army. Meanwhile, Edmund is fighting with the White Witch, and gets severely injured. Aslan arrives with troops, and successfully kills the White Witch. Fortunately for Edmund, Lucy's potion heals him, and all of their fallen comrades. Later in the day, Aslan names the kids the kings and queens of Narnia, in Cair Paravel, fulfilling the mythical prophecy. Lucy notices Aslan going for an unknown destination during the celebration. Tumnus consoles her, promising to return one day. Years later, the four siblings, now young adults, are seen riding through the Narnian forest. They notice the gas bulb, and Lucy guides them back through the wardrobe, into their real world. They are the same children that entered many years ago, not having aged a day. They meet the professor, who is eager to hear their magical stories. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.